And welcome back to Putin Football First, episode 27, the last. The World Cup is over, and Interpol found Tony after our night at the Croatian club. We missed him for a couple of days. Tony, how was it? How are you?
I'm back. I've been speaking to my lawyers, and I think
She loved you.
For those of you who've been following the antics on social media, I did go missing there for a brief.
We got Tony married off, apparently. He asked for a bread roll, and the next minute I got $500 and he was married to some lovely lady.
All I wanted was a bread roll. My lawyers have said apparently the annulment is legal.
So welcome to Putin Football First After
Fingers
Dark.
crossed.
We'll have more on that story later. Now, we have to say, France, congratulations. And
Yes.
Tony, to make you feel a little bit better,
Oh, look at this.
because we did such a job of disgusting everybody eating on camera last time. To the French, some lovely
Congratulations. It's a
French
French-
eclairs. As you can probably hear, my voice is gone. So is the rest of me, to be honest.
Still leaves a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth.
Oh, I can imagine it might. What, they wouldn't give us a roll.
No. Oh.
So, welcome back, and here we are, looking back at the grand final, the final, looking back at the tournament, wondering why, and looking forward eventually. We've got a lot to cover in this show as soon as Tony finishes what he was eating and tells me a little bit more about where he's been for the last 2 days. We'll be back after this break.
See you soon. And welcome back. What a terrific World Cup it was.
It was.
I was a bit sceptical about it being such a grand event being held in Russia. We might talk about that.
I still am sceptical about that.
Still sceptical. Do you know how much it cost? Just as a throwaway line. We might save that one till later. Have a think about this as you're watching this particular episode. How much did it cost Russia to host the World Cup? My daughter was actually very close in her guess. But look, it was a terrific tournament. A lot of positives came out of it. I think football has changed forever. Mm-hmm. Congratulations, as we said, to France. I must admit, I felt, being a Socceroos supporter, I felt a little bit the same at the end of the World Cup final as I felt at the end of the France versus Australia match. A little bit deflated.
What could have been, what
should have been. The VAR once again intervened at a crucial moment. Yeah, France, you're great. Look, and again, you deserve the win, but there's always this cloud hanging over for me of what could have been. France beat the Socceroos 2-1. They won the World Cup final 4-2. Griezmann, you're a snivelling little shit, if
Neymar
I can say that.
two.
you are the next generation of the dark arts, if I could call it that. The flop, which I want to talk about a little bit as well, which again left a very, very sour taste in a lot of Croatian supporters' mouths, and also the neutrals as well. His flop led to the first goal, and I think
you're talking about Optus.
Flopped us as well. Well, that was a feature of the world.
You're talking about the dive.
Yes, the dive.
I think you're being a bit kind calling it a flop. It was a dive.
It was a flop, a dive, whatever it was. It was to milk a free kick in the final third. And it's easy for people to say, oh yeah, but it happened in the first 20 minutes of the game.
It changes the rest of the game.
It changes the game. It changes it. And things like this, I'm not sure how the VAR will ever intervene to stop that. You'll have a stop every 5 minutes then in matches. It's never going to stop that. But maybe during the match...
Well, let's come back to the VAR. I think you bring up a really good point. There's a few more things to be said about that. But first of all, let's... Oh, God. Oh, no, it's all right. There's another shirt, everybody.
This is the first episode with costume changes.
That lady looked after you, didn't she? She dressed you in layers before she let you out.
She washed them all.
Tracy, I think you'll have him back this afternoon.
Hello, Svetlana.
And look, let's analyse the game a little bit. I think at the end of the day, France did deserve the victory. They didn't deserve the victory that they got.
It was very pragmatic. It was very clinical. It was one of those things where, your bigger team, your Group 1 teams are just going to do the things they've got to do. They go through the motions. They put all the odds in their favour.
You do make it sound really boring. It wasn't a boring match.
Oh, it wasn't boring by any chance. No, by any stretch. I thought it was extraordinarily exciting. We were there at the Croatian
club. Everybody,
well done, Croatia.
And thank you for a terrific night.
Yeah, can we just segue there? The Croatian Wickham Sports Club went absolutely off that night. Can we just show a little segment of what it was like at the night?
Here's a little collage of the night.
Yep, here it is here. a terrific night it
Oh,
was.
yeah.
As opposed, before we actually went there, though, we actually went to the French Wickham Sports Club. Let's have a quick look at what the atmosphere was like there. Not quite the atmosphere.
No, but the French, and didn't that sort of sums up how the French played.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
To a certain extent, they should get some credit for that because Deschamps had a team of absolute superstars, total egos. I mean, the likes of Pogba and Giroud, who, for their clubs, just do what they want and make it look good.
Yeah.
And somehow the water carrier got them all stopped, got them all to hold back and said, if you can just play within yourselves
that's it.
and as a team, you'll walk away with the World Cup. And
to me, this World Cup's his. It is Didier Deschamps' World Cup. The way that he has done what no human on the planet, I think, no one else, probably maybe, 3 people maybe on the planet may have been able to do that. He did it.
Rummenigge might have one of those.
Maybe. I don't know whether he could have pulled. But the point is there are, count them on one hand, the number of coaches on this planet that would have been able to do that to that team.
And for that,
to do
he
everything
deserves a lot
game.
of credit.
Oh, God, yeah.
Whether he deserves a World Cup, I don't know, but he certainly deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, to me, it's his World Cup. He was able to do this. And again, we've said before, you go back 2 years, France lost that Euro championship to the final to Portugal in a game that Ronaldo went off famously in the first 10 minutes, and then Portugal lifted and they were able to win it. And to me, it shows you need to lose before you can win. You need to be humble. You need to, out of adversity comes success. And these guys took that bitter pill 2 years ago, and all of a sudden they flipped it round and didn't choke.
I'm sure that the stats show that.
Yeah,
my favourite French player is Remy.
Yeah,
he has the unique title now. He won a World Cup without ever taking the field.
Yes,
he was on the team, but he was critical to that team, and the reason why. He actually had the moustache. He had the beard and the sort of the crazy moustache. And in the first game against Australia, Griezmann walked up to him and tweaked his moustache. And from that moment, every player in the team tweaked his moustache before every game.
Wow,
that was their good luck charm.
That was a good luck charm.
So Remy, no one ever has won a World Cup with that kind of contribution before, I'm sure, but those little stories are what make World Cup.
The contribution that I was a little bit concerned about, just segueing away, David Lowe, who came on the program last week, I was very worried every time he referred to one of the French Conte players. Every time he referred to...
You had to go there. We're on camera.
I know that. Well, he was as well, and he kept referring to this player Conte, and it sort of made me jump every time he mentioned that. I was going to let that go through to the keeper because it's such a puerile joke. It was a terrific joke, but he was in the final, and he showed that he couldn't in the end. So.
Well, everybody plays their roles, and the subbing, I think it was a manager's World Cup. I think you're right. It was just the way that team was managed.
Yeah.
A champion team out of a team of champions.
And let's go to the other side too. Croatia's manager as well, like Dalic. I mean, what an extraordinary job he did out of, getting a team that he had. He had a handful of superstars in there. That was fair enough, but the way that he blended all the other sort of lesser-known players around them. Subasic came out.
Well, did that goalkeeper go?
Yeah. Look, he was. I think he was
and
a bit...
Lovren, I think, sort of really...
I think, going back to... Subasic was a little bit... I know he was unsighted for the third goal. I thought he could have done a little bit better with the fourth goal. He just seemed to sort of, go down.
You know what I think it was? If you watch the semi-final, he pulled a hammy.
Yes, yeah.
He injured himself and got up and kept playing. Yeah. And if you watch that goal where he was unsighted, but he actually just couldn't even
He just
jump.
couldn't get there, yeah.
I think there might have been a little tweak going on in that thigh that went, I'm not going to get it anyway, and I've got no chance. Which raises an interesting question about when does a player put their hand up and say,
should he have played? Yeah, that's it. There were 2 substitute keepers there, so you're trying to do the best for your country. But
that's right. It must be hard though. World Cup final. If I can seal this, I get to play.
No one would have given up. No one would have.
And look, he did make some great saves.
Things you don't hear at the World Cup.
Coming up later, ladies and gentlemen, Tony is determined to do this segment.
A new segment.
It's coming up. The graveyard wasn't hard enough. We'll be back in just a moment to talk more of the end of this World Cup.
All right, welcome back. Now, we're still going to talk about some of the interesting incidents that have come out of the final and a little bit of a post-match spray by...
Oh, look, we were talking about notable performances by the French players. For me, one of the most notable was Mandzukic after the full-time whistle.
Yep.
Not many people saw this.
After the full-time whistle, people take their shirts off.
Oh, that's another shirt. Yep. Italy. Interesting.
They'll be back.
And Mandzukic, led a few of his players, particularly Vida.
Yeah, right.
exactly what he thought of his performance, which was interesting.
Yeah.
And these are the little things you remember about World Cup finals. You know, there's people that don't watch football year in, year out, but they will watch a World Cup final.
Yep.
It's one of the most watched games on the planet. And these little things are what make it really interesting.
Yeah, that's it. Well, the third and fourth goals were scored from outside the box. It was one of the few, one of the few goals in the tournament that was scored. Apparently, 11% of the goals were scored from outside the box. And there could be some criticism against the Croatian defenders that they could have closed Pogba down for the third one and then Mbappe for the fourth. But I think that's been a bit
they were having to push forward. They were going to the game.
Yeah, exactly. They had
to. Full credit to them. Losing 1-0 is the same as losing 4-1.
Yep.
As it was, they got 4-2 as a loss. But if you're behind,
you've got to
sitting there and closing up the back line just so you don't get another goal scored against you doesn't win you a World Cup. So you have to push
just
out.
For a matter of record, this guy got very, very grumpy when the score went to 4-1, I can tell you.
I might have been a bit vocal about it too, as you might be able to tell. It's been 3 days and I still can't talk.
He was a bit upset when it got to 4-1. 4-2, at 4-2 with 25 minutes to go.
Me and every other Croatian in the room thought we could take this, but we couldn't.
Yeah, there was some yes. I think golly and damn was said a fair bit.
Yeah.
and in Croatian.
I'm gonna clean my throat and we'll be back in a moment.
We put a lot of ourselves into this tournament.
I think we put just a little bit too much there at the Croatia Cup. Look, let's start to clean up, shall we?
Let's get rid of some
I do want to mention Pogba.
It's over-hatted.
I know at one point I said that Pogba wouldn't make a semi due to a yellow card, but I was wrong. That doesn't happen very often on this show.
Well, you and I are wrong.
But look, I want to make mention of Pogba. He cops a lot of criticism in the English press.
Yeah.
There are headlines on the front page of The Sun when he gets the wrong haircut. Now, it's because he's very successful, very rich, the amount of money that got played for him, syndrome, and black. I'll say it. And he cops a hugely unfair amount of scrutiny and criticism, particularly in the English press. He perhaps deserves some of it because he's a hothead. But I tell you, in that grand final, in fact, for the entire tournament, that young man kept himself just about in check. You could see his blood was boiling. But he kept himself in check. He played to the coach's instructions. And his goal in the final was a sensational goal, and he deserved it.
Yeah, that's it. And credit Deschamps. He kept him in check because he could have exploded. He could have gone down to, France could have gone to 10 men easily at crucial times in matches. And a couple of teams did try and niggle him to try and get him to step over the line.
I would have.
And that would have been a tactic. Yeah, that's it. That could have been a tactic.
Not that I'm cynical or anything.
No,
just
but
a strategist.
It's part of the strategy of the world game these days. But no, it was good the way. Again, like what a professional. He takes a shot, it comes straight back to him, and in that split second, this is the difference between these Group 1 countries and the also-rans, is that in that split seconds come back to him, he knew the keeper was sighted, and he's passed it with the outside of his left foot into a net where Subasic was unsighted.
That's right. There was none
beautiful.
of this, let's take 3 touches to set ourselves up and let everyone catch the ball. It was in, there was no chance, and they do deserve credit, the French, for that goal and Mbappe's. The other two were complete rubbish. But at the end of the day, it's all in the past now.
Yeah, that's it. And one thing that I have missed in this World Cup that has been a notable absence. No. She's a notable absence in most aspects of my life. Just ask her. We're reconnecting.
We love you.
Yeah, we do love you. Yeah,
and we brought him back.
We're reconnecting after this World Cup.
Svetlana was gentle.
She's put me back on the shelf. Now, one thing that has been missing in this World Cup is the animal predictions. Where is that?
No, they've been there. They've just been shite.
Oh, well, I was going to say I haven't seen any of.
There was Raspigeon.
Oh, right,
not Rasputin, but Raspigeon, and Raspigeon actually got it wrong for the last game.
That's why we haven't heard.
That's right.
Where's that?
We've been through 3 or 4 octopuses.
Yeah, well, where's the Ottoman Empire octopus that always goes for the red team to win?
Look, those animals have never had VAR on their side. So they've actually been able to pick the human errors, but they can't pick.
Wouldn't that have been great?
VAR errors.
Oscar the octopus goes up to one of the boxes, then looks up with his tentacles, goes like this.
Why didn't somebody do that, meme?
Where's that meme?
No, so look,
and also shout out to a friend of ours who's been engaging on Facebook as well, Karen Briggs de la Fuente. Thank you so much for your very, very kind words
and your
online.
reviews, people. Karen's as well as everybody else's. We've had nothing but 5-star reviews, which is nothing like what we deserve,
which was unexpected,
and very gratefully received. Thanks for being with us on the journey. Back to the VAR.
Yes.
I'm going to segue into a final discussion, if I may, on the VAR.
Yep.
Phil Dando summed it up by saying it's not perfect, but it's cleaning up the game.
Yeah,
I do agree with him.
Yep.
I think what we saw in the grand final, however, was there is how the VAR is used is still the issue.
Yeah,
and I don't think FIFA will ever let something be completely automated and transparent.
No.
There's an argument that... there's a couple of arguments. One is the powers of the VAR, because they're only allowed to look at certain things.
There's scope, and a lot of comments on social media go, why didn't the VAR do? Well, it's not.
Yeah,
it's
they haven't been able.
The
point needs to be made is they haven't been able to use the VAR to detect simulation. Now, for those of you that think that's a dirty word, it's when a player dives, and there was still plenty of it in this game. Neymar led the charge, but Mr. Griezmann was not far behind him, followed by Mbappe.
Yeah, he's the prince.
And just about the entire team of Colombia.
Colombia, yeah.
But if the powers of the VAR can be expanded to start to knock out simulation, now for that to work, you've also got to have ex-players sitting behind the camera.
Yeah, look, I'd like to actually see in a situation like in that final where Griezmann clearly dived, flop, whatever you want to say. In real time, they're not going to pick it. It's going to be a free kick, which sadly, led to the goal, which changed things. But the VAR can easily just say to the referee, give a yellow card out to Griezmann, and it comes as in the 5 minutes after the event, blow the whistle, you do the symbol, there's a yellow card.
So the score remains.
Well, you can't stop that. I don't think you can stop that.
I think the referee is allowed to say, I'm not sure about that. I want to have a look.
Once it's a goal, it's a goal.
If he can't make his mind up in 30 seconds, move on. If you can't see it on the VAR clearly, then let it go. But you need to have ex-players sitting behind the cameras watching that simulation. I think VAR is here to stay. FIFA's made that very clear.
Yep.
I think it was...
There's more good than bad in it.
Possibly naively handled in this World Cup, but it's here to stay if they can increase the powers. Now, the other suggestion that's been made...
The only time they got it wrong was against the Socceroos, where one of the angles clearly showed that...
the ball had been touched before the player.
The ball touched before the player.
We were victims as much as Croatia were, once again, brothers in arms. But the other thing that they can do with the VAR, and some other sports do this, I think hockey, maybe NRL is starting to do it, is the conversation between the referee and the VAR operator is actually played live. And what that does is explain to everyone watching, it won't help those on the ground, but those that are watching the game hear what the infringement was for.
What language do you do it in?
Oh, look, I think
you'd have to do it in English.
Broadcasters can figure that out. They can put sort of subtitle up. But I think
we need subtitles for Jonathan today with his cough.
Do we ever? I'm coming back, people. Don't worry. I think VAR with... I'm slapping the table. I'm passionate about this. With the VAR, a few expanded powers, check simulation, and explain the decision and as to what's being looked at. I think the VAR will become something that in 10 years' time we're all as used to as the offside.
That's it. Just throw to them, 10, 15 seconds, make a decision. And again, if they've got to show, and this happened in the final, where they had to show replay after replay after replay. In fact, did you notice the footage stopped at one point? Like the ref Patano, I think, standing there looking at it, and the screen went blank, and he's just looking, and then it came back. But he kept looking at the same angle over and over again.
Now, if you can't see it clearly...
He needed to see it. There was one angle which they didn't show, and it was from behind the goal. And behind the goal clearly showed that he moved his hand to the ball. And I said to you, while the replays are going on, they're going to give this. They're going to give it because his hand moved to the ball.
His hand was actually on its way out of the way of the ball, and the ball changed trajectory.
But it's a decision that referees will always make, hand to ball. But it took too long, and is it the whole idea of it? Is it an obvious error? If it's not obvious, if it's taking too long...
Then it shouldn't have gone to VAR in the first place.
If it's taking too long to make the decision,
it's not
that's
obvious.
it. And maybe one of the things they need to do is give them 15 seconds to make the decision. If you can't make a decision in 15 seconds watching a replay, it's not obvious. Yeah. That's it. Well, that's it. Move on. It wasn't a penalty. Full stop. You can't make the decision. Full stop. Move on.
Exactly right. So we'll move on now. VAR, you're here to stay. And we'll move on. What are some of the other big themes or sort of changes to football that have come out of this World Cup for you?
Look, from a refereeing perspective, I thought it was, and we spoke about this, very, very unusual that there was no one there from the English Premier League. And at the start we thought that may have been A, controversial, but B, an outright mistake. You've got easily one of the top 3 leagues in the world, and you have experienced referees who were not there. I think all of the referees who took to the field were very, very good. I thought in the main there were no, and as we said, there were no scandalous decisions. There was nothing there that
sort of dampened the World Cup spectacle.
Well, it kind of did, because as we say, football mirrors life. So I think it's not fair. And
there's always cheats.
There's that unfairness against Croatia, losing the final. But I thought the emergence of the lesser known referees was a feature for me, being a former referee, because if you're from New Zealand or if you're from Iran and some of these lesser known nations, you're not refereeing
Argentina.
Yeah, well, I thought Patana did quite well. He refereed the first game, he refereed the last game, which I think was
both had
a
VAR decisions that were a bit dubious.
That's it. Hey. But at the end of the day, it gave the lesser known and the lesser experienced referees, a real moment in their lives that they were able to say to their grandchildren, I was there, I refereed.
I got France a World Cup.
Sorry,
did I say that?
I got the quarter final or something like that. So,
that's important.
So yeah, look, I think to me that was an interesting decision, but in the end, hindsight's a great thing, and it for me it worked nicely.
That's good. All right, well, we'll jump onto some stats for the World Cup.
Yes, let's have a look at the stats.
You've been
I'm a stat man.
Stat man.
That was a play on the song Scatman from many years ago. You might want to
those of you that missed the obvious reference.
Well, I don't know what music people listen to. 160.
Lana listened to.
She was into that into the piano accordion music. All right, 169 goals were scored, which in a world of cynical tackles and whatnot, I thought that was very positive. 2.6 goals per match.
More of them than ever from the penalty spot.
Yeah, that's it. So a lot from set pieces. If you look on our Facebook page, I did share a very interesting coach's statistic around where the goals...
I was going to talk about all those things until you put them up on the Facebook page.
That's fine. Well, you can talk about them as well. The feature for me out of that came out of the stats were the number of goals that were scored with the first time shot, and that to me is absolutely crucial. And you may segue that into how coaches now coach teams, moving into the future. Modric ended up being, I might need my glasses. Modric ended up being the player of the tournament.
Yep.
Harry Kane ended up being top scorer with
not deserved
with 6 goals.
Sorry, Adrian, but no, most of them were from penalties.
The best, they all count. You got to give half a goal for penalty.
But a strategy to go
goal's a goal.
Pushed over,
hold the ball, hold the line. It's a goal.
I don't believe in it.
Courtois ended up being the goalkeeper of the tournament.
I think you called that early.
I did. Yeah. I did call it early. Interesting, not in the best 11. Pickford makes the best 11. So
go figure.
But the stat that came out of this, which I really enjoyed, the Fair Play Award. Who do you think, which team in the tournament got the Fair Play Award?
I do know the answer to this, but it's hilarious.
You shouldn't give it away.
All right, Tony, which team did win the Fair Play
Sergio
Award?
Ramos's team. The Animals. Spain won the Fair Play Award.
And we all know why.
Why?
Well, they gifted a game to Russia.
Oh, that's why.
They let Russia go through to the round of 16.
Right, yeah. So it was
the quarterfinals. By just parking their own bus and going to sleep on the field, not playing their normal game, 3 shots on goal in a game against Russia.
Well,
that's just not normal.
No, well,
and I know Russia played really well. I'll give them that. Cheryshev is one of my picks for star of the tournament.
Yeah, he was emerging star.
Okay, now before we move on to your new most favourite segment, got a couple of questions for you, and I'm sure
Jonathan hates it when I introduce new segments at the last minute.
I've gotten used to it now. It's happened every episode.
So it's never too late to introduce a new segment.
Couple of questions.
Yes.
Tony. Your pick for goal of the tournament?
I think the France versus Argentina match, which produced a couple of terrific goals. Di Maria's goal was terrific, but you can't beat Pavard's goal. Came up from the back, and the way he hit it, the footage from behind where he hit it with the outside of his right foot and it curled.
Yeah.
Very similar to
very difficult to get on top of it too.
Yeah,
normal player would have skied that.
Very similar
Brilliant
to
goal.
the one Nacho scored for Spain with the outside of the foot that hit the post, went across, but it was that only got that high off the ground, whereas Pavard's goal went.
No, I agree with you. I think that is the goal of the tournament.
Yeah.
And look, I looked up Pavard and his background. He had a really rough trot to get to this World Cup.
Did he?
Less than a year ago, he was playing in the 2nd division team of Stuttgart.
I thought you were going to say he got like a bad Uber driver or something like that.
No. He was in the bus, but he has been
second division.
Excuse me, a much maligned player. and has fought his way into that team.
Yep.
And then I think that is the goal of the tournament. So congratulations to
he
Pavard.
got a pretty poor
goal.
rating in the final, which I thought he did quite well, because when Croatia were attacking, him and
they couldn't get through. They could not break the French down, and that's all a defender has to do.
Yeah, that's it. I thought he stood tall in the final, but he only got something like a 3 or a 4 out of 10 player
Oh, he
ratings.
takes any notice of those clowns in front of cameras.
Best team goal has to go to Belgium.
Absolutely, yes.
Against Japan. I thought even
as
that
much
wasn't
as
a
it broke our
spectacular.
hearts,
Yeah,
it was a sensational goal to watch.
great team goal from from Courtois rolling it out and then out to the.
Yep, and I have to say it did have reminiscence of a few of the Jets' goals last season.
Yeah, good counter-attack.
It is the counter-attack that Ernie Merrick coaches.
Yeah, that's it.
And when you saw it unfolding, I thought Ernie had loved this.
Yeah, that's it. No, it was a terrific team goal.
And save of the tournament?
Was it Subasic? Was it the to me it was the penalty shootout where it was, and I forgot the keeper now. I think it was Subasic where he's dived to the right and he's lifted his foot and he's actually stopped the ball. Stopped the penalty with his foot. I thought that was a terrific save.
For mine, it was the save that never got replayed for Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, true, against Colombia, yeah.
If it wasn't a corner kick that then went to a goal,
you would have seen that.
Cameras would have been replaying that for weeks.
That was extraordinary.
The top corner, he's a little guy.
I know. He's got
sensational save.
He's got good spring in his legs. You know, when that goes, he'll finish up. But he's got terrific spring in his legs.
Yeah, we'll be back in just a moment. Moving right along, we can't avoid it any longer. We have to have. God, is there a shirt under there? Please let there be a shirt under there.
This shirt is actually very, very crumpled, which is kind of mirrors how I feel right now.
So, all right, Tony, take us away with your new segment for the last show of Putin Football First. Things you don't hear at the World Cup.
Okay, let's hear the
things you don't hear at a World Cup.
I reckon the ref was right to send me off.
Things you don't hear at a World Cup.
I reckon Craig Foster was bang on last night about our defensive frailties.
Things you don't hear at a World Cup.
Did all the wives and girlfriends get today's canteen roster?
Things you don't hear at a World Cup.
Ronaldo, can you please hang back after the game to help take down the Nets? He's loving this. The more you roll, the less it hurts.
Things you don't hear at a World Cup.
The VAR's the best invention ever.
Things you don't hear at a World Cup.
That's okay. I'll play at the back. You go and play up front for a while. I think that worked quite well.
I think the last one of those was particularly relevant for the French.
Exactly.
But there we go. Things you don't hear at the World Cup.
I've got an idea
you
for
got a laugh out of that.
I certainly did.
Tony, if there's one thing Tony's very good at, and in fact there are many things Tony's good at, World Cup stats is one of them, but entertaining himself is really high up there as well.
I don't do this for anyone else, I do it for myself.
If I could ever be bothered going back and listening to all our episodes, you laughing at your own jokes is a highlight for me.
Well, I know it's a character flaw.
It's not a flaw. It's not a flaw. It makes this show.
I have a theory that once you start laughing, other people laugh with you. It's impossible to hear a human being laugh and just not laugh as well. So I just kind of lead the charge.
You keep leading, Tony. You keep leading.
I'll lead from the back.
Okay, so looking over at the board we never look at on the screen, we're now going to talk about Coach's Carousel.
Okay, Coach's Carousel.
As you know, I love the path of the coach. This was the Coach's World Cup as far as I was concerned. And a few things have happened already. Jorge Sampaoli we knew, going to be dumped from the Argentinian seat if he wasn't dumped already. Rumour has it, though, that the coach of Peru, Gareco, who is Argentinian but loves his Peruvian connections and loves his Peruvian team. Rumour has it he is being chased by Argentina to go and sit over there. Obviously, Hierro was only put in as a caretaker coach for Spain. We thought they were going to handle that really well, and then they gave a game to Russia, so he got the boot.
Oh, he's out now.
He's out, and they're looking for another coach, and Enrique is the leader for that. But there is a rumour that Martinez is being chased for the Spanish the Spanish team. Gareth Southgate.
Spain under Martinez. Now that, like when you were saying
before,
be sweet,
wouldn't it?
When you were saying before about Spain and throwing the game against Russia, and in the next 2 years will be interesting, I'm thinking Spain aren't going to go anywhere in the next 2 years. They're going to be very flat. Tiki-taka's dead, and I thought no, they're not going to do much. Spain under Martinez.
You put Martinez there.
Spain under Martinez.
And look, this is something that is really interesting. Uruguay 10 years ago was washed up, dead and buried. They didn't even qualify. In fact, Australia knocked them out in 2005 in qualifying. But In 2006, Tabarez came back with Il Processo,
Yep.
and he had a manifesto. This
Yep.
is how we're going to fix football in
Yep.
this country. And it worked.
Yep,
Look how strong Uruguay were this year.
Yeah.
If Martinez can come in with a philosophy for Spain that works, and he can get
And
them
they
to
buy into
follow.
it, and the
Look,
players
there's no
buy into
guarantee
it.
Martinez will get this.
Yeah, I
this
know,
gig.
but I'm just, it's mouthwater.
Belgium would be pretty keen to keep him.
Oh,
but
good, yeah.
it will be really interesting to watch what happens to Spain. It'll either be a car crash or it'll be beautiful to watch.
I don't think it'll be a car crash. I think he'll do what needs to be done.
Now, I don't think tiki-taka is dead. I think tiki-taka is just not the out-and-out, who could have thought of that idea that it used to be.
That's it.
There are now ways of combating it, but at the end of the day, it comes down to football skill. And tiki-taka will always have a role, but it needs to be supplemented.
Especially when you're counter-attacking from your own goalkeeper.
Yeah, perhaps leave it behind. But
no, look, I agree. The point is, it doesn't have to be the be-all and end-all of your entire play, and you need to adapt. And Martinez is smart enough to be able to adapt and change things during the game. I think he at the head of Spain.
Could be delicious.
Take him over to Italy.
No, Ronaldo's there now.
Oh, okay. He'll sort him out.
Yeah. So a few other coaches. I don't think we'll see Tabarez again on the World Cup stage, which is a shame. He is an absolute legend and a gentleman, and we wish you all the best, Tabarez. And other coaches to be moved around will, I think, there'll be some heavy scrutiny in Brazil for Tite's position.
Yep.
He should have done better with the team.
Look, I think, again, Brazil underperformed and I think could have won it.
You know what? I think they're a little bit in the same basket as Spain, though. What they used to do to win is no longer good enough. Germany?
Yeah.
Joachim Low actually has a contract until 2020.
Yeah.
And everybody's hoping he just does the polite thing and resign.
Oh,
he won't want to. There's a lot of money in it for that.
It's not only money. I think it's, during the negotiations, I think he reached down the front of his trousers and pulled out and threatened to touch.
If we don't get this done quickly, he'll want to shake hands.
He's going to go and touch everyone on the selecting committee. So that just give him a contract.
I'm smelling a really good deal.
Just give him a contract, get him out of the room now.
Look, you'd have to say that, with finger up nose, he blew it, and he should be. Germans also need to have a good look at what used to work doesn't work now.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think a fresh coach there. In fact, a fresh approach might be in order.
I think so.
Gareth Southgate has shown the way. He should stay England's coach for at least another 4 years. I think his contract does that anyway. Yeah. And what must be said is he changed the way the English see their football. He changed the way they play their football. He brought in fresh young blood, which is not a typically English football thing to do.
Exactly.
And these guys will only get better over the next 4 years.
The ladies want to know, what happened to the Jamie Lannister lookalike? Was it the Tunisian coach?
Yes.
What happened to him?
His name escapes me right now. Pavard?
No, it's not Pavard, is it? Or something?
It's Pavard.
Jamie Lannister.
Pavard. And I believe he will stay.
Yeah, right.
He will keep his role.
Right.
And of course, the Euros are only 2 years away, so we'll get to see a good half of these coaches back in action again. Begs the biggest question, which leads us to the what the hell do we do now segment.
Socceroos?
Arnold.
Yeah.
We have a new coach. Is there any point?
I'm fearful that...
That's not a criticism of Arnold, by the way.
No, I just don't think he has the skills at that international level. Like, we've looked at all of the coaches and how good they are at that international stage. I don't think he's actually got the smarts to be able to do that. Maybe he'll learn as he grows in the role, but I'm a little bit fearful.
I think he does need to watch Martinez closely. There have been times when Arnold... bless you.
Sorry.
When Arnold has done a brilliant job during a game of directing the team and making sure they change their style, and then there have been moments, particularly in the A-League, where you were just begging him, your team is now not in shape, it's not playing for this game, you're getting beaten. Didn't happen very often.
No, I know.
But he gave up. He just said, no, we're going to play our way, and you do need to adapt.
It was an Arsene Wenger way of doing things. Arsene Wenger had this extraordinary ability in the early Arsenal days where, it was just beautiful to watch. In the last 6 years, it was just horrible. They were losing 2-0.
There was no adaptability.
That's it. And he just sat there and went, no, the way we play is the way we play, and the final score ends up being 4-0. And then he was, I'm looking for the resilience in the team to bounce back. Well, you should have done something when you were 2-0 down to change what was going on, and that's where coaches earn their money.
And that's when Martinez really knew his stuff.
Oh, God, yeah.
Now, it isn't all about the coaches as much as I'd like it to be. Australia doesn't have the... look, I don't mean this in a negative way. I was going to say we don't have the cattle. I think we do have the cattle. We don't have the experience to give our cattle.
Yeah, that's it.
Back in 2006, we had, I think, 4 or 5 players on the pitch who were playing in Serie A, the Premier League, La Liga, and were at that top flight level. Our team this year, the best they had was Huddersfield and Brighton Hove Albion.
Yep.
They were the highest
Celtic
playing
in Scotland.
Yeah, well, again, it's still a nudge down. We need our players to go offshore, and it's a shame. I don't think the A-League is ever going to be able to match the experience that being in those top flights are. So what are we doing as a country to fix that? And it's not a coach's job.
Yeah, no, look, it's the nursery, and it's we need the technical directors, we need the technical, the academies to start getting these kids and pick out.
Should we be importing some technical directors for a while?
Yeah, definitely.
I've long been a proponent of we need to fix our coaching first.
That's right.
To give ourselves half a chance. Make Australia, make the A-League a beautiful training ground for the up-and-coming coaches coming through those top flights. They can come over here, the pressure's off. If they can win a title or 2 over here, then they get to move into the top flights. We get benefits from that. We get massive benefits.
I don't think it'll happen.
Our players.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen, and I'll tell you why. I have a friend of mine who has, his son is actually going through the motions of he's a terrific player and going through that sort of progression. And they have the creativity stuffing knocked out of them. They are told a system to play, and that's where it starts, where they'll go forward and then
the players or the coaches?
No, the coaches knock the creativity out of the players. It's all about
I think that's old school. I think you're talking about the old school, and I think the Gareth Southgates and the Martinezes of the future.
What I'm getting at is if you have these talented players who are coming up through, the system is knocking the creativity stuffing out of, and that's the problem. They're not allowed to express themselves. They're supposed to play this possession, and at the end of the day, the kids have got to do it because they won't be selected for the next game. And
they try something and make a mistake, they're out.
That's part of the problem.
That said, there are some top flight coaches that don't operate that way.
That's it.
Southgate at Middlesbrough was one of them, but I give you Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, but we don't have those. But we don't have any of those here. And this is the thing: the structure, the nursery is it's broken. It needs to be pulled apart.
But that is an option for the A-League and for the Australian.
Where's that? I'm looking for that report post World Cup about what do we learn out of this World Cup, and where's that blueprint? Where's the manifesto? As you said,
there's no point
of where we're going to go.
If we haven't got our players getting over there into the top flights, there is no point having a manifesto.
Yeah.
We will still get knocked out at group stage because we deserve to be.
Yeah, that's it.
We don't have the same experience as those players in the winning teams.
To me, it starts now. You've got 2 years to start getting these players in, and then the 2 year
qualification. For me, it's an 8-year process. But whether Australian football authority is taking on an 8-year process,
that should have started 8 years ago.
I feel very sorry to a certain extent for Ange Postecoglou.
Yep.
He went down a path he thought was the right way to go.
Yep.
Possibly was, but he got no support. He got right up to the goal line and realised everyone was still back in defence. I feel really sorry for him. I'm not sure his way was the right way. And part of leadership is taking people with you.
Yeah, that's it.
And if he couldn't do it, it wasn't working. But whether Mr. Arnold can do any better with the same cattle and the same system, definition of insanity, expect something different doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
We're now looking straight down the barrel of that, and I hope, in fact, I want to be part of the pressure on the authorities to change the way we look at football.
That's right.
And being so far away with such a small population, we're never going to be able to afford the players and the facilities that top flights do. So in that environment, Croatia perhaps might be something we can look at. They've got 3.5 million people and they made the final, but they're right next to Europe.
Exactly.
Right? Their players can hop, skip and jump over and be in other leagues. Ours can't.
We'll always have that physical distance problem. Always.
That's right. So we do need to look at something that's never been done before here in Australia. I don't know what it is. I'd love to be part of that conversation.
Have a base in Europe. Have an Australian base in Europe. Let's have a nursery over there. Just start. Things have got to change. It cannot continue. And I'm fearful of the Asian Cup. We won it last time. I think the teams are a lot better. Korea were better than us.
We want them to be
Japan,
better. The better the other
us.
Asian teams get, the harder it is for us to win that, the more chance we have of going somewhere in the World Cup somewhere down in the future. And look, the World Cup is the biggest game in the world. It's the biggest tournament. It's the biggest show in the world, and we want to play a really big role. Australians are used to that.
Shout out to Tim Cahill as well, who announced his international retirement. If one of the world's
Adios, Capitano.
Worst kept secrets, and look, just the amount of joy that he has brought to football followers in Australia
moved this country forward.
It was just extraordinary.
Decades.
But as we said, and the World Cup highlighted, exposed our
when your time's up,
our weakness. That And I said it during the qualifiers when he was banging goals in against Syria. Yeah, that's terrific that he's scoring goals and we're winning, but where's our plan B? What happens when he retires? And now we're going to find out.
Well, I think Postecoglou, to his credit, again, was looking at that, but had no support. And look, he's only got the players he's got.
Yeah.
That's the problem with world football. You can't buy another player.
Can I go back to the World Cup final? Pogba, and I just forgot to mention this when we were talking about, and Mbappe scoring goals from where they did. Like, how come Rokic wasn't able to get those shots on goal? He's got the best left foot, to me. One of the best left feet in the World Cup. He couldn't get a shot away. He just kept getting swamped. He was 2 metres in front on the edge of the box, whereas those guys were 2 metres back. And look at the difference that it made. They got the shots away.
That's right. So here's to Australian football. We want to see it grow. We want to see it flourish. We're here enjoying all of the benefits.
We want to be able to talk about it.
That's right. We wouldn't be here if those that have done what they've done over the last 20 years hadn't done it.
Yeah.
We get to have this much fun. We just want to see it get better into the future. We'll be right back. I feel good. Here, try it.
No, you've been coughing all over it. So keep your germs with you.
More for me.
Good.
Okay, and cue the party noise, cue the streamers, cue everything, cue a few days in bed for me.
Cue the relief.
Yeah, indeed. Cue the relief. It is that time of that show. The World Cup is over. This show is coming to an end. We've had a blast. Tony, can I just say thank you?
You can. Yeah, thank you.
It's been wonderful.
6 months ago, Jonathan rang me or emailed me or something and said, I've got this harebrained idea. Do you want it? Yes. It was just...
I think the language was a bit more florid than that, but it was a definite yes, and here we are, almost dead at the end of it. Thank you for joining me on this journey.
It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you to David Lowe, thank you to Laurie McKinnon, thank you to Phil Dando, and anyone that I've missed, Chris Camagnolis, Mick Kirby, Adrian the Pom,
that's it.
Who will one day get a credit, and everybody that took part on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter.
The live audience at
both of them,
Sydney Junction Hotel, our
Thank
family,
you to the Sydney
our
Junction
friends.
Hotel.
Yeah.
But also, as well as our audience, I will once again sign off with a big thank you to our sponsors, without whom this wouldn't have been half as interesting as perhaps it was. Everything Football, you guys rock. I know it's been a rough trip for you for the last week or so with your son breaking his leg in the snow, but guys, thank you so much for all the shirts. We promise we'll wash them before we bring them back. Thank you for all your support, all the props. Thanks, Sean, for joining me on the show for an episode. We love what you do. You should get more support from the likes of Nike and the Jets. I believe the new outfits are coming out in August, so that's only less than a month away. Everybody get in there and get your stuff. We're going in to spend a bit of money after this.
Yep,
Thank you for everything, Belinda and Sean. It's been fantastic. Everything Football. One hat remaining on our desk. And
well done.
Can I also thank Murray's Brewing Company?
Yes.
Thanks for the beer, guys. We loved it. It's still being drunk. Excuse me. What I will say is we could use one more case.
Yeah.
We've just about run out, and we need some for recovery. One more slab would be lovely. You know where we are.
You'll see why in a moment.
Thank you very much.
And also River Roast.
River Roast.
Well. James Carter. Nice to have met you in the live recording.
Yeah, thank you for standing up and saying you guys need coffee. We probably did. And you came to the rescue. So River Roast from Real Coffee on Derby. Fantastic.
Home a visit.
Absolute award-winning coffee, and we've loved it. So thank you, everybody. Thank you to Harrison and to Gabe behind the camera. It's not been an easy journey. And with that, we will say adios, farewell, and see you soon.
See you later. All right, welcome back to Putin Football First. And as we round out the tail end of the World Cup in Russia, we should really look forward 4 years and start talking about the interesting World Cup that will be held in Qatar.
Qatar, yeah. Look, Qatar's an interesting one. As a thing that, as tournaments go, this one was definitely bought, you might say. And
I think there's a bit of money involved.
Yeah.
It smells like oil.
It will be... It'll be an interesting tournament. Air-conditioned stadiums are coming up. We've got 48 teams in a shorter period.
I just want to do a bit like Young Frankenstein. Qatar. I told you it works. See you later.
Bye.
What are you doing?
I'm deleting all your contact details.
Come on, we can hang out.
Yeah.
We should hang out.
No.
Look. I just got notification the chess club wants some new players. You in? Come on, we should hang out. Where are you going? Is it over? And welcome back to Putin Football First. We have a major announcement.
We couldn't stay away that long. You'll find in a few more...
Oh, can I guess? Can I guess what the...
please. Go on, guess away.
Can I please guess what it is? Jonathan hasn't told me this. He's been keeping me in the dark for about the last week going, in the final show, I've got a major announcement. I think I know what it is.
What is it?
Putin Football First, the musical.
How did you know? How did you know?
I've already made some phone calls, and again, if we just throw away to the cutaway game
for a podcast.
No, Hugh Jackman is going to play my role.
Every 2 weeks, a podcast, Putting Football First,
and Shane Jacobson is going to play your role. Let's have a look at the footage.
It's not funny. Podcast, Putting Football First, everything football. Starting
Shane
in a couple of
Jacobson,
weeks. We'll see you soon.
Jackman,
we'll announce it on Facebook. It won't
musical.
be a musical. It'll be a podcast. We look forward to talking to you then.
See ya.